If you want to get back with your avoidant ex, I suggest you become friends with them. This is what we're going to discuss today in this video. I know it is very controversial. I know this is very different to what you've heard in other channels with other sort of type of content. Don't worry. I will explain why I believe in some cases it's the right approach. We're going to talk about attachment theory. And more importantly, I'm really looking forward to reading all your comments because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of debate on this topic. Jingle.
IGetMyExBack.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
So the real question is to be or not to be. What you should be doing after a breakup. Again, regardless of how long the relationship was, regardless of how painful, there's always an element of, okay, that person took the decision to end this relationship. You potentially disagree with their decision. The whole thing you can control is your thoughts, your decisions, your actions. And in a way, it makes sense to feel, okay, that person decided to end the relationship. They don't want to work on the relationship. They are giving up on us. And therefore, there's an element of, I need to respect myself. I need to reclaim my independence. I need to learn to be alone. Also be clear with my expectations because that person clearly at this stage, because it's also an element of timing and we're going to discuss that, at this stage they don't want to work on the relationship. They don't want to see that there's an alternative, right? And so the idea when you start from this point of view is saying, if I want this person in my life, because I want this person in my life and I want a relationship with this person. Therefore, being friends is not what you want. And you should never ever be friends with an ex. In the context of getting back together. Being friends with an ex, that's another debate. whether you could be friends with an ex. I believe it's possible if after months or years apart, you get back together in terms of and rebuild a new relationship. For instance, if you have kids and you become sort of co-parents and you're divorced, etc., you can still get along. You're not going to be exes. You're going to be sort of friends in a way. Different friends, but friends anyway. So the reason it's good tips if you hear that never accept a relationship you don't want, which makes sense. Don't end up in a relationship you don't want, you don't desire. And so it helps you be in line with what you truly want, which is the end goal. And again, timing is very important here. And so it is very important to remember and perhaps do this work of introspection of what you really want. Especially if you have an anxious attachment style and you feel that you got the feedback that you're too emotional, you want too much intimacy, etc. It's finding the right balance and finding the relationship, the ideal relationship you would want, and see how far you are from this relationship. And so by doing that, you will reinforce your self-esteem, your sense of self-worth, which are usually affected after a breakup. Okay? So these are the reasons you should not be friends with your ex, especially with your avoidant ex, because at the end of the day, it's not what you want. Makes sense. If you're following me, let me know in the comment section. I agree on this. Now, the reality of things, when you start the recovery process, because we broke up, I think I want to work things out. We've been apart for a few weeks, few months, and I want to give it a try. If you approach this phase being, this is what I want, this is my list of demands in a way, which again, I'm not criticizing. The point is not to say you shouldn't have any demands or any needs, but showing up this way. The reality is that it's not going to work. It's simply not going to work. What you have to do, and that's what we will describe in this video, is you have to bring that person to a place of safety and security. The problem, when you express your needs, when you have a conversation around emotions, intimacy, your avoidant partner, your avoidant ex will freak out. They will shut down. So the recovery starts where it began, not where you left it. And when you started your relationship with that person, you didn't start with that list of demands. Perhaps you had this idea of the ideal relationship, what you wanted to construct, what you wanted to build, but you didn't express them right away. So one of the biggest mistakes I see from people who are trying to get back with an avoidant ex, because they've listened to some tips, and again, I'm not criticizing those tips, it's just that the context and the way to use them is wrong and the timing is wrong. Saying to someone, to an avoidant, which is even worse, I don't want to be friends, I will get back with you, or we get back together only if we get back, no, we stay in touch, or I want to speak with you only if we get back together. It's the best way to put a lot of pressure, because you have to understand that your ex doesn't know what they want at this stage. They are not sure. You have to bring them to a place where they feel safe, where they feel you respect their distance, where you feel there's an alternative. But you can't start recovering the process having this expectation like, well, get back to me, reach out to me, only if you're sure of getting back to, us getting back together. So very often I see people, I started no contact and I told my ex, I don't want to hear from you unless you want us to get back together. Which works in some cases, but the problem is that it doesn't work in all of the cases, especially with avoidant, because again, they're not sure. They took the decision to break up with you. Sometimes they don't know why. They have this fear of intimacy, this fear of commitment. And stating when you're going to contact, come back to me only if you're sure, it's never going to happen. That's why it's not going to work. And this is from the book Attached that I would highly recommend you to buy. As I said in some of my videos, I've thought of writing a book about attachment, and actually this book is great, so there's no point reinventing the wheel. I also, if you don't want to buy the book, I wrote a summary of the book, some key takeaways. Have a look in the description. There should be a link to download this book. Basically, this graph is it's actually not coming from the two authors. They borrowed it from Milkenson framework from the 60s. But it's basically describing that, anxious avoidant, I like these two circles overlapping. We need to be in that space. We need to create a relationship in that space. And when you are in that space, everything's fine. The problem is when you start triggering your partner, when you have those demands, when you ask for intimacy, when they are not ready, you deactivate the avoidant person, triggering this circle while you trigger the other part of the circle. And the danger is the danger zone. The thing you have to avoid is the danger zone. And when you state clearly to an avoidant, don't reach out to me unless you're sure, you're automatically putting him in the danger zone or her in the danger zone. Okay? So what you have to do, and it's important to remember this graph, is you have to operate above this line, above this danger zone, and make the relationship, evolve the relationship to intimacy this way. It is frustrating, it's not fun, it takes a bit of time, but that's the only way. If you want this person back, then you might be thinking I don't want to be doing this thing, and you have to make your own decision. Maybe he or she's not the right person for you, but if you want that person back, unfortunately, that's the only way to do it. See it as a staircase. Very often people, because you have a clear idea of what you want, a clear idea of the relationship, they don't. See it as a staircase. For you, intimacy is something you're comfortable with. For them, it's hard. For you, discussing about how you feel is easy. For them, it's not. So it's about using a succession of low intensity and superficial interactions. There's also an element, and people think, finally got in touch. We're going to see each other. This is my opportunity to tell them how much I've changed, how much I love them. In a way, kind of there's a lot of pressure on this first date, thinking it's like an elevator speech. I need to put everything in this conversation. The idea is like, no. This is the first step for you to also assess whether you will respect their distance. Just spend quality time with them. It's not about the conversation at this stage. So of course, those list of things you want to explain, you want to address, accept that it will take different or few dates, few meetings, few weekends together, few evenings together for you to convey those messages. But not right from the start. Okay? Again, there's the pressure, the emotional pressure, like, and it built up during the contact. Maybe you've learned so much about yourself that you want to explain about attachment theory, you want to talk to them about me, I don't know. Don't do it right at the start. Again, low intensity, little by little. So the methodology is, again, as I said, you see one step at a time, raising the level of intimacy. That's it. Don't overcomplexify things. That's the way it has to be. And of course, you might be thinking, hold on, I don't want to be playing games. I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60. I mean, I want this person. I want to build a relationship with them. I don't want to be playing games. I don't want to be pretending that I'm okay with this level of intimacy. What you have to understand is you start the staircase. You go and navigate and see whether things are changing. And the hard part is, or the hard part, the key part here is to really assess, okay, how far this person can go. Can this person open up? Will they finally discuss things? If you've done the work and helped them be in that safe and secure zone, it's time now to establish new terms for the relationship. This is the resetting element. You can't get back with them if things are the same. So there's an element of what you've done, the things you've learned. Bringing them to a safe space will help you to have potentially finally this discussion about what's next. How would that look like? And this is when you feel you need to assess whether they're changing, they're willing to compromise, they're willing to meet you halfway. Because if they don't, you've done the process. You've brought them where they feel safe, where they actually open up, where they actually can sort of become a solution maker together. Okay? If they don't, that's not the right partner for you. They could be an amazing person, but because of their insecurities and their inability to work on their insecurities, they are not the right partner. So getting back with an avoidant requires for you to establish new terms. And the new terms need to be away from the tension. This is why it's very important not to tell them, I'm going to go to contact, I don't want us to be speaking because I get hurt or whatever. Only contact me when you're sure we're going to get back together. So you have to work at being more secure, understanding what you want, understanding how you can establish boundaries, how you communicate your needs, etc. When you do that, you will end up together. Now, the end up together, it's about how you can reassess and see whether this new relationship works for you. And that becomes your call, not their call. Initially, they decided it's not working out. Now, you've done the work. You've worked on your attachment. You are more secure. You're the one creating the framework. Now it's their turn. Are they willing? Are they, in a way, able to give you what you want? And that's the key question you need to answer. It's not about, what should I send? You'll get back together. You'll have opportunities to speak with him or her. The real question is like, okay, do they have the stamina? Are they willing to work like I did? Are they willing to overcome the insecurities? And maybe they don't want to do. Maybe they're fine with the way they are, which indicates that, there's no point fighting. If you have any questions, any comments, let me know in the comment section, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.